What if I told you 17 out of the 24 fighters on a fight card are coming off a loss? What if I told you that there is no name recognition on the card? What if I told you that there are about 3 fights that the fighters are ranked? Would you still buy it?
What is that, bro?
My name is James, and today we're going to be breaking down UFC 91, which is exactly that shit. Fucking horrible. But I like the sport, so I'm going to watch it, even though it is an absolute abomination of a card. Nothing against the fighters, you know, it's not their job, they're getting paid to fight, right? But the UFC matchmaking, at least, it's ridiculous. After UFC 300, the greatest card of all time, they come up with this. I'm lost for words about how bad of a card this is going to be. But I'm going to break it down anyway. So, kick off this incredible fight card. We have Benítez taking on Maheshate.
我在北京
I'm going to go with Maheshate. He's going to be the younger guy in this. He's going to be the bigger guy in this. He's going to be the faster guy in this. He's going to have the more precise striking in this. Overall, he's just the better fighter in this, in my opinion. He is coming off a 2-fight losing streak, though. It's kind of tough. But he is taking on a guy like Benítez, who does have a lot of experience within the UFC, and he is quite tough. But he's old, and he's slow. And he's going to be the smaller guy in this. In this Jim Miller fight, he didn't really check leg kicks that well. He only threw 1-2s. That's about it. Yeah, he just didn't look too good. And that's not to say that he's a bad fighter. It's just this sport is a young man's game. So I think Maheshate's going to get it done. He's going to be the more precise guy. He's going to be the faster guy. As long as he doesn't gas out, I think he's going to be fine. So Maheshate to get this done. Probably a decision, though. I don't think he's going to have the ability to take out Benítez. And probably whoever loses this is going to go down to PFL or Bellator. So, womp womp. Moving on. On to the fight of the night. We have Ivana Petrovic versus Liang. Both these fighters are both coming off losses as well. Overall, I'm going to say Petrovic is probably going to get it done. She's just going to be the bigger fighter in this, and I think that's all it's going to come down to. Both these fighters are pretty average. Liang kind of finds a way to lose. She gets hit far too much compared to what she throws. She's going to be smaller in this. You know, a lot of experience, don't get me wrong, but I think the hunger is on the Ivana side. So I'm going to pick her, and to be honest, I don't really care about this fight, but Ivana's going to get this done. Moving on. We have a short notice replacement for this fight. We have James Llontop, who was supposed to fight on this card, taking on Chris Padilla, who is the short notice opponent. I'm going to go with Llontop. I think he's going to be the better striker. He's going to be able to keep distance. He throws very hard, has good volume as well. He's taking on a guy like Chris, who has 1 week's notice against a guy like James. There's no way. There's no way. It's going to be a pure domination. I think Chris is probably going to get knocked out in the first, or it's going to go to a boring decision. Pretty polar opposites there, but it's just the way the game works. So Llontop's going to get this done. He looked very good in his last fight on the Contender Series, I believe it was. He's going to get it done. He's a lethal weapon. He's a lethal weapon. Come on, James Llontop. Camel. Moving on. Here we have the battle of the midgets. We have Marnic Mann, 5'0", taking on Ketlen Souza, 5'0". The pick here is going to be Ketlen. Out of the 13 wins, she has like 7 or 8 finishes. I just think she's going to be the far more dangerous person in this fight. Marnic Mann got obliterated in her last fight. I just cannot pick her. You know, look at her striking stats, look at her takedown averages. Like, they just suck. I think Ketlen's going to be the stronger person in this. She's going to be the more dangerous person in this. Probably get it done. You know, probably by a boring decision, but I could also see TKO. So I'm going to do Ketlen. Probably a decision, though. Moving on. Next up, we have 2 fat asses fighting for food. We have Dontel Mays taking on Machado. Gonna go with Dontel Mays. This fight's kind of hard to predict. The reason being is Machado is good. He has a very high striking output, very accurate, very hard hitter as well. The reason why I'm picking Dontel Mays is basically Dontel Mays is going to be the taller guy in this. Machado isn't used to fighting taller people than him. Dontel Mays is going to have the bigger reach. I think Dontel Mays is going to be able to land a harder shot than Machado and probably clip him. If For that reason, I'm going to go Dontel Mays. I'm not going to personally bet on this fight just because I think it's going to be way too close. And it's heavyweights, right? Anything can happen. The pick is going to be Dontel Mays just because I think Machado's going to have his hands low and he's going to get caught. Kind of simple as. If he doesn't get caught, though, Machado's probably going to win. But I'm going to go with Dontel Mays just because I want to see it. Moving on. Next, we have Austen Hubbard taking on Michael Figlak. The pick here is going to be Figlak. I think he's more of a technically sound striker. Sometimes can be a slow starter and doesn't throw enough, as you can see by his striking stats there. But I just think he's going to be the hungrier. He's going to be the more technical striker in this. I don't think it's going to go to the ground. If it does, I think he can still hang out. He's training with a good gym. He trains with Leon Edwards. He's versing somebody like Austen Hubbard, who lost tough. Rule of thumb, just bet against anybody who was on tough. There's a reason why they were out of the UFC in the first place. Yeah, I just don't like him. You could say it's biased here. Well, it definitely is biased. But I'm going to go with Figlak. I think he's just a better fighter. And moving on. We definitely have the fight of the night here. What was I saying before? We have Yahya, 39, basically 40 years old, taking on Victor Henry, 37 years old. Everybody is kind of dogging on Yahya for being so old, which I get it. He did get brutally killed in his last fight, and he did look old in his last fight. Yahya, he has good takedowns. He can somewhat hang on the feet. He's okay. He's just okay. He's just old, and that is his downfall. Victor Henry, although being younger, not by much. He's 37. He's also old. Realistically, if it stays on the feet, Victor Henry should win this. He just by far is the better striker. Problem is, though, if it does go to the ground, Yahya will have success. Personally, everybody's locking Victor Henry as like as a bet, and I get it, you know, because Yahya did get killed by a striker in his last match. I'm not too confident on Victor Henry. I still think he gets it done, but personally not that confident in him just because they're both old, and you can't trust old people. So, gonna pick Victor Henry. Don't like it, but it's just what it is. Probably fight of the night, though. Hands down, I think this is better than 300. But what can you do with that? Probably, you know, this is going to be the Justin Gaethje Max Holloway knockout right here. Last second, Yahya is going to get it done. He's going to land a huge uppercut, knockout Henry. Mark my words, lock it in. Moving on. We have Tin Means, the Dirty Bird, taking on Uroš Medić. I think is how you say his name. I'm going to go with Uroš Medić, just because I picked against him against his Semelsberger's fight, just because I didn't think he was going to win. And then he actually looked really good against Semelsberger. He's going to be the younger guy in this. He's going to be the better striker. Tim Means, the kind of thing that he has in this fight is basically he's just tough. He's just a dog. And my worry here is if Uroš can't put him out within the first, second round. In the third round, Tim Means might actually find success because he's tough. He hasn't been knocked out yet. Uroš gets tired. Tim Means finds success. But I just don't think it's going to go that far. I think Uroš is just a more technical striker. He's going to be faster. He's going to be younger. He's not necessarily going to be the bigger guy in the cage, but I just don't think it's going to matter in this. So the pick here is Medić, and I think he's going to get it done. Tim Means, love ya, but you're old. So, moving on.
Hit me in the back of the head, Reb. Hit me in the back of the head. Get up and do something, boy. Come on, get up and do something.
Got some good trash talk.
Get up and do something.
That's in. That is in, ladies and gentlemen.
We have Jonathan Pearce, the GOAT himself, taking on David Onama. This is actually going to be a fun fight, in my opinion. Not going to bet it. I actually just want to watch it. Jonathan Pearce, he's a phenomenal grappler, solid wrestling. He's okay striking, actually. You know, he can definitely mix it up. Overall, a very good fighter. He's taking on somebody like David Onama, who has good takedown defense, and, you know, he doesn't really shoot takedowns. It's mainly the striking aspect of him that he looks good. Problem is, though, with David Onama, look at his striking stats. He gets hit a lot. And I think Pearce is going to be able to take full control of that, being able to mix up the punches, mix up the takedowns, and just overall win. Probably submission. I don't think it's going to be a knockout with Jonathan Pearce, but you never know. Could be. But submission probably round 2, round 3 when Onama gets tired. The only way Onama wins is probably by a knockout. So, I mean, there is that, but I just don't think Jonathan Pearce is going to be in a situation where he gets knocked out. So, pick is Jonathan Pearce. I'm pretty confident in it. But it should be a fun fight, actually, because, you know, both guys are very dangerous. Jonathan Pearce is the pick, though. We actually do have a pretty fun fight as well. We have Austen Lane, the former football player, taking on Jhonata Diniz, who used to be a kickboxer. Both guys are very aggressive. The volume side of striking definitely sides with Diniz there. Both guys similar kind of age, similar kind of height, kind of similar builds as well. Like, it's not going to be anything crazy in that. I just think it's going to come down to the volume of Diniz and probably the power of Diniz as well. And it's going to probably put Austen Lane out. Austen Lane kind of throws himself at his opponents and hopefully overwhelms him like that. I just think the leg kicks are going to screw up Austen Lane's movements. And Diniz is probably going to get a KO, probably round 2, I'm going to say. But should overall be a fun fight. I'm going to side with the debuter, though. Moving on to possibly the fight of the night. Screw all the other ones. Fight of the night right here. We have the first ranked matchup. Wow. It only took us like 10 fights. Ariane Lipski taking on Karine Silva. Karine Silva's nasty. Out of her 17 wins, she's finished all 17. Submissions, KOs, everything. Very versatile, very dangerous fighter. She has good takedowns, very precise striking, very powerful striking as well. She's taking on somebody like Lipski, who all around is actually a very good fighter. She has good takedown defense, somewhat okay takedowns, not the best though. Striking though is kind of where she dominates. The pick here is going to be Karine. I just think she's just going to be different in this fight. I think it's going to be 18-4 after this. Probably, I actually don't think it's a finish though. I think it's probably going to be a decision. Just because Lipski is tough. There is the reason why she's in top 15 as well. But hey, the battle of the Brazilians. I love both these women. I think it's going to be Karine Silva's day, though. I think she's going to get it done. Next up, the UFC are treating us with another ranked fighter. Can't believe it. Ryan Spann taking on Bogdan Guskov, the Orc himself. This is going to be a pretty good fight, actually. I'm actually going to side with the Ryan Spann side of things. I think overall, he's just a very consistent guy. You know what you're going to get out of him. He's a good striker. He can mix up the takedowns as and when needed. He's going to be the bigger guy in this. Better reach as well. With that, he's taking on Guskov, who can be very dangerous. In his last fight, he did finish the other guy. But the problem is, the only way he wins this, though, is going to be by finish. Ryan Spann is very good at getting all the points from the judges and kind of just being a point fighter. Not really KO ability. They are, as for what it seems in this fight, it definitely seems like the UFC are trying to push Bogdan to get this done. So, I mean, if it goes to the scorecard, who knows? Could be a robbery. But I think Ryan Spann's going to get this done. I just think overall he's a more complete fighter than Bogdan. Moving on into our main event, we have Nicolau taking on Alex Perez. One side, you have Nicolau, who got killed in his last fight by Roval, taking on Perez, who hasn't won in 4 years. I gotta say, what a amazing main event to host. I'm gonna go with Nicolau, even though he did get rocked in his last fights. He is just overall a very precise striker with a lot of power, and he can mix up the takedowns. He just looks really good every time he fights, apart from obviously last fight. He's going to be same height in this one, but obviously he has the reach advantage, not by much, so I don't even know why I'm bringing that part up. Alex Perez, on the other hand, he's a jack of all trades, master of none. He did have a competitive fight against Makayev in his last fight, where he did kind of stand his own there. Striking, he does throw up good volume, does get hit by quite a lot, does leave himself open quite a few times. If it does go to the ground, I think Perez might find actually success there, so I think it will go back and forth here. But I do think Nicolau will be able to probably knock him out. So probably in the third round, if not a boring decision. Overall, guys, that was the breakdown. Hopefully you liked it, but it just is hard to like a card like this. Yeah, till next time.